Thank you so much for the reminder.
Okay. You look very blissful, Radhakishan Mataji, today. Okay. Who's going to share screen today?
I was looking for Nandapatni, but she's not picking up phone. So Rukmini Mataji?
She sent a message saying that she won't be able to attend the class today.
Okay, maybe I didn't read. Yeah.
So Rukmini Hariseni Mata has been very enthusiastic to read, especially this section of the Nectar of Devotion. Okay. Anyone else also wants to read today? Definitely you can read Rukmini Hariseni Mata. Anyone else also who wants to read?
Ananta Mataji is raising her hand.
Okay. Anyone else will right now it is half. We'll make it 1/3 or 1/4, depending on somebody else also. Okay. For now, let's start. Okay.
I can read. I can read also. If you.
Okay, sure. So Rukmini Hariseni Mataji, please start. You want to go first or you want to go last?
After all the devotees.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Chapter 46, Astonishment and Chivalry. Astonishment. The ecstasy of astonishment in devotional service is perceived in two ways. Directly by the experience of one's own eyes, and indirectly by hearing from others. When Narad came to see the activities of the Lord at Dwarka, and he saw that Krishna was present within every palace in the same body and was engaged in different activities, he was struck with wonder. This is one of the examples of astonishment in devotional service by direct perception. One of the friends of Mother Yashoda said, Yashoda, just see the fun. On the one hand, there is your child who's always captivated by sucking the milk from your breast. And on the other hand, there is the great Govardhan hill, which can obstruct the passing of the clouds. But still, just see how wonderful it is that this great Govardhan hill is resting on the finger of your child's left hand, just as though it were a toy. Is this not very mysterious? This statement is another example of astonishment in devotional service by direct perception. An instance of astonishment in devotional service by indirect perception occurred when Maharaj Parikshit heard from Shukadev Goswami about Krishna's killing Narakasur, who had been fighting Krishna with 11 Akshauhini divisions of soldiers. Each division of Akshauhini soldiers contained several thousand elephants, several thousand horses and chariots, and several hundreds of thousands of infantry soldiers. Narakasur possessed 11 such divisions, and all of them were throwing arrows toward Krishna. But Krishna killed them all simply by throwing 3 arrows from his side. When Maharaj Parikshit heard of this wonderful victory, he immediately rubbed the tears from his eyes and became overwhelmed with joy. This instance is an example of astonishment in devotional service by indirect perception through oral reception. Yeah, there is another example of indirect astonishment, trying to test Krishna to see if he were truly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Brahma stole all the cowherd boys and cows from him. But after a few seconds, he saw that Krishna was still present with all the cows, calves, and cowherd boys exactly in the same way as before. When Lord Brahma described this incident to his associates on the Satyaloka planet, they all became astonished. Brahma told them that after taking away all the boys, he saw Krishna again playing with the same boys in the same fashion. Their bodily complexion was blackish, almost like Krishna's, and they all had 4 arms. The same calves and cows were still present there in the same original fashion. Even while describing this incident, Brahma became almost overwhelmed. And the most astonishing thing he added was that many other Brahmas from many different universes had also come there to worship Krishna and his associates. Similarly, when there was a forest fire in the Bhandir Van, Krishna instructed his friends to close their eyes tightly, and they all did this. Then, when Krishna had extinguished the fire, the cowherd boys opened their eyes and saw that they had been relieved from the danger, and that their cows and calves were all safe. They began to perceive the wonder of the situation simply by guessing how Krishna had saved them. This is another instance of indirect perception causing astonishment in devotional service. The activities of a person, even if they are not very extraordinary, create an impression of wonder in the heart and mind of the person's friends. But even very wonderful activities performed by a person who's not one's friend will not create any impression. It's because of love that one's wonderful activities create an impression in the mind.
Actually, if you notice here, we were discussing earlier that if you notice here, Krishna's, the residents of Vrindavan, for example, there it says how they're astonished. For example, here, how Krishna is on the one hand is sucking his mother's breast milk, I mean, drinking milk from his mother's breast. Not on the other hand, he's lifting such massive, of course, now if we go to Vrindavan, Govardhan, then we may think Govardhan is not so high, but here it's described that Govardhan was so high that the clouds would touch them. Uh, it is explained that after Krishna's disappearance from the planet, Govardhan is feeling separation from Krishna and is sinking into the earth out of separation from Krishna. Similarly, when Uddhava actually visits Vrindavan, Sanatana Goswami explains that when he enters Vrindavan, he sees the same Vrindavan that Krishna was, when Krishna was manifest. So Sanatana Goswami explains that when Uddhava visits Vrindavan, the Vrindavan that he saw was actually the unmanifest Vrindavan, but the manifest Vrindavan was like a desert. I mean, all the residents were in green. I mean, it's just everything was the plants, the creepers. It was more like a desert. But that's not the Vrindavan that Uddhava sees. He sees the unmanifest Vrindavan. So he sees everything where I mean, the cows are coming home, and he sees that kind of a festive atmosphere in Vrindavan. So why did I say that actually? I forgot. Why did I say that? What did I say before that? There's some reason why I said that.
About Govardhan sinking, you mentioned.
It is so astonishing. It is so...
correct. Yeah, yes. I mean, about Govardhan sinking. That's correct. Because I mean, the Govardhan now, what we are seeing is the manifest Vrindavan. So in the manifest Vrindavan, even after Krishna had left, already Vrindavan had become like a desert and things like that. Even now, we may think if you go to Varshana, for example, near Varshana, then you have all these places of the Sakhis, and they're very beautiful places. Even now, they're so beautiful. So imagine how beautiful it would have been during Krishna's manifest presence. In Krishna's, when Krishna's not, when during Krishna's unmanifest presence, they all have become like deserts and things like that. And in fact, yes, I mean, devotees, at least those who read the Krishna book and go into Vrindavan for the first time, they've been a pretty bit surprised that Vrindavan is different than what they've read in the Krishna book. So that's because of the separation, and also it is the external. I mean, our eyes are clouded with material contamination. So of course Uddhava's eyes were not covered with material contamination. He is spiritually powerful and blissful, but so he could see the unmanifest Vrindavan. But it's not that the unmanifest Vrindavan was just always like that. Sometimes that unmanifest Vrindavan is visible to those who have very qualified eyes, but otherwise, for those of us who are very contaminated by matter, we can only see the Vrindavan. What do you call it? Okay, I think I confused. I spoke the wrong thing. The wrong thing in the sense that Krishna saw the Vrindavan when Uddhava saw the Vrindavan as if Krishna was manifest. So that's the kind of Vrindavan that he saw. Krishna looks like Krishna is manifest now, but we don't see that Vrindavan. We see the Vrindavan where Krishna is unmanifest. Okay, I hope I haven't confused you all. If any of you are confused, please do let me know. Yeah, it's that thought. It's the sentence which said how the clouds were touching Govardhan Hill, which inspired me to speak about Uddhava. And it just brings to my mind that whenever we get an opportunity to remember great devotees, exalted devotees like Uddhava, or not just somebody who was there during Krishna's pastimes, even later on, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or even Prabhupada, or even currently the great devotees in our movement who've done exemplary things for Srila Prabhupada. Whenever we get an opportunity to remember them, it offers us an opportunity to become very purified in heart. Okay, Radhakishore Madhu, you can continue. Unless somebody has something to say or ask.
Okay.
Also, it's interesting how it's mentioned here that it is love which creates an impression in the mind. It's love which creates an impression in the mind. That's very important, because otherwise the activities are all the same. It's the same mundane activities which everybody in the world is performing. It's nothing really extraordinary. It's not that somebody can jump off a 10th floor of a building and nothing happens to them. You don't find this kind of, practically more or less everybody's a little bit of variation here and there. And there are other magicians who do some tricks, that's all. But otherwise, they're not like, activities are all more or less the same. But yet some activities create an impression in the mind simply because we have a feeling of love, or sometimes it could also be that, for example, film stars or other celebrities, sports stars or something. But because of watching their activities, whatever, or due to the glorification, due to their glorification by other human beings, so we begin to develop some kind of an attraction for them. So their activities also leave an impression in the mind. So basically, it's the fact that it's because of love that one's wonderful activities create an impression in the mind is an interesting point. Of course, you could say in the material world everything is lust. So is it comparable? It's not comparable, of course. What I meant to say is that sense of attachment is what creates a impression in the mind.
Yes. Prabhuji, I had this realization when I was just reading that pastime wherein Krishna sucks up the fire, which is going to devour the devotees. Devotees just need to call out to him, and he just in one shloka of Bhagavatam, I was reading that like a blind person follows the one who has eyes and walks. Similarly, we should just we should just follow Krishna, his instructions, and just be dependent on him completely. I don't remember which sloka, but I can send it. So so that is what is surrender, that we are burning in the forest fire, and then when we call out to Krishna, Krishna will just say, just close your eyes, and then he will remove all the. So we just close our eyes?
Yeah. Interesting solution. So next time that somebody asks me a question in the class, how do we solve this problem? So close your eyes.
Close your eyes. Krishna will do it.
Interesting realization. Good realization.
Yes, Rukmini Mataji wants to say something.
Thank you, Mataji. Mataji, I heard in one of the lecture that there are two types of devotees. One type of devotee is like, they will say like, Krishna, we have got intelligence from Krishna only. So we should do something. We should not depend like, we should use our intelligence, and we should do the things which is really required to do. And their second type of devotees, they will say, Krishna will do. I don't need to worry. And both are right. So I request Prabhuji, if Prabhuji can, tell a little bit regarding this, that what should be done, that there are two types of devotees. One simply will say, I don't need to be care, that Krishna will take care. And second is that the intelligence which Krishna has given me, I really need to use to come out of this situation.
Both of them are not contradictory if you understand that when we do something, with what consciousness are we doing something? If we do it to the consciousness that this is Krishna's mercy and he wants me to act in a certain manner, that is the same. There's no difference between the two things that you're talking about, if that is the consciousness. But if the consciousness is that I'm disturbed by the circumstances, I'm trying to solve the disturbance, that is where there is a difference between the two. But if one accepts whatever circumstance that one is facing as Krishna's mercy and acts accordingly, then that action, there's no difference between Krishna giving you the intelligence there to act and closing your eyes, the same thing.
Thank you, Ruchi.
If you react to that situation in a manner that, okay, let me try to solve this problem, then there is a difference. So because when you say closing the eyes, it means that full dependence on Krishna. That's the meaning of closing the eyes. So when we face a problem or face a complication, whatever it is, if we take this is Krishna's mercy. He has given me this complication. So the moment we take it in that spirit, then whatever action we're performing is the same as closing our eyes. There's a state of consciousness which determines whether there is a difference between. There is a difference if the state of consciousness is not all right.
Thank you.
Okay, can I start reading?
Yes.
Chivalry. When on account of love and devotional service for the Lord, there is special valorous enthusiasm. The resultant activities are called chivalrous. These chivalrous activities can be manifested in the acts of mock fighting, giving charity, showing mercy, and executing religious principles. By performing chivalrous activities in fighting, one is called Yuddhavira. By charitable activities, one is called Danavira. By showing extraordinary mercy, one is called Dayavira. And when one is munificent in executing religious rites, he is called Dharmavira. In all such different chivalrous activities, Krishna is the object. When a friend wants to satisfy Krishna by performing some chivalrous activities, the friend becomes the challenger and Krishna himself becomes the opponent. Or else Krishna may give audience to the fighting, and by his desire, another friend becomes the opponent. A friend once challenged Krishna thus: My dear Madhava, you're very restless because you think that no one can defeat you. But if you do not flee from here, then I shall show you how I can defeat you. And my friends will be very satisfied to see this. Krishna and Sri Dama are very intimate friends. Yet Sri Dama, out of anger with Krishna, challenged him. When both when both of them began to fight, all the friends on the bank of the Yamuna enjoyed the wonderful fighting of the two friends. They prepared some arrows for mock fighting, and Krishna began to throw his arrows at Sri Dama. Sri Dama began to block these arrows by whirling his pole, and by Sri Dama's chivalrous activities, Krishna became very satisfied. Such mock fighting generally takes place among chivalrous persons and creates wonderful excitement for all viewers. There is a statement in the Hari Vamsha that sometimes Arjun and Krishna fought in the presence of Kunti, and Arjun would be defeated by Krishna. In such chivalrous fighting between friends, there is sometimes bragging, complacence, pride, power, taking to weapons, challenging, and standing as an opponent. All of these symptoms become impetuses to chivalrous devotional service. One friend challenged Krishna thus: My dear friend Damodara, you are an expert only in eating. You have defeated Subala only because he is weak, and you adopted cheating means. Don't advertise yourself to be a great fighter by such action. You have advertised yourself as a serpent, and I am the peacock who will now defeat you. The peacock is the ablest enemy of the serpent. In such fighting between friends, when the self advertisement becomes personal, learned scholars say that it is sub ecstasy. When there is a roaring challenge, certain kinds of movement for fighting, enthusiasm, no weapons, and assurance given to frightened witnesses, all these chivalrous activities are called sub ecstasy. One friend addressed Krishna in this manner: My dear Madhusudana, you know my strength, yet you are encouraging Bhadrasena and not me to challenge mighty Baladeva. By this action, you are simply insulting me because my arms are as strong as the bolts of the gate. A devotee once said, My dear Lord Krishna, may your challenger Sri Dama become glorious for his chivalrous activities, such as vibrating like a thundercloud and roaring like a lion. May all glories go to Sri Dama's chivalrous activities. Chivalrous activities in the matter of fighting, charity, mercy, and execution of religious rituals are called constitutional, whereas expressions of pride, emotion, endurance, kindness, determination, jubilation, enthusiasm, jealousy, and remembrance are called unconstitutional. When Stoka Krishna, one of the many friends of Krishna, was fighting with him, his father chastised him for fighting with Krishna, who was the life and soul of all residents of Vrindavan. Upon hearing these chastisements, Stoka Krishna stopped his fighting. But Krishna continued to challenge him, and thus, in order to meet the challenge, Stoka Krishna took his pole and began to display his dexterity by whirling it.
Anandita Jana Mataji, you can continue.
Hi Krishna, Pranam Prabhuji. Once Sri Dama challenged Bhadrasen and said to him, my dear friend, you need not
Ma'am,
be
can you be a
afraid
little
of
bit more
me.
closer? Like, a little bit more closer to the mic.
Yeah, just a second. Once Sri Rama challenged Bhadrasena and said to him, my dear friend, you need not be afraid of me yet. I shall be the friend. I shall first of all defeat our brother Balram, then I shall beat Krishna, and then I shall come to you. Bhadrasena therefore left the party of Balram and joined Krishna, and he agitated his friends as much as the Mandara hill had agitated the whole ocean. By his roaring sounds, he defeated all his friends, and he inspired
Deafened, Mataji,
Krishna with his
not defeated.
chivalrous act.
By his roaring sounds, he deafened, not defeated.
Sorry, okay. By his roaring sounds, he deafened all his friends, and he inspired Krishna with his chivalrous activities. Once Krishna challenged all his friends and said, my dear friends, just see, I'm jumping with great chivalrous prowess. Please do not flee away. Upon hearing these challenging words, a friend named Varuthapa counter-challenged the Lord and struggled against him. One of the and I
Anandita
think
Mataji, are you
that
reading?
will be a beautiful combination.
Your voice is breaking, actually. Your voice is breaking. Or I don't know if it's for me or everybody.
For us also, Prabhuji.
I think maybe due to the network problem, I think. Somebody else can continue.
Once Krishna challenged all his friends, you should say that from there. Okay, Rukmini Hariseni Mataji, you can continue until she gets back her connection.
Once Krishna challenged all his friends and said, my dear friends, just see, I am jumping with great chivalrous prowess. Please do not flee away. Upon hearing these challenging words, a friend named Varuthapa counter-challenged the Lord and struggled against him. One of the friends once remarked, Sudama is trying his best to see Damodar defeated. And I think that if our powerful Subala joins him, there will be a very beautiful combination, like a valuable jewel be decked with gold. In these chivalrous activities, only Krishna's friends can be the opponents. Krishna's enemies can never actually be his opponents. Therefore, this challenging by Krishna's friends is called devotional service in chivalrous activities. Prabhuji, I want to ask a question.
Yes, Mataji.
Prabhuji,
Please go ahead.
Yes, we read, yeah. Krishna and Sridham were very intimate friends, yet Sridham, out of anger with Krishna, challenged him. When both of them began to fight, all the friends on the bank of Yamuna, yes. So, Prabhuji, I'm not able to understand this. Sridham began to block these arrows by wielding his pole, and by Sridham's chivalrous activities, Krishna became very satisfied. I'm sorry, I'm not able to understand this pastime. If you can please tell.
I mean, I thought this fairly straightforward. Krishna began to throw his arrows at Sridham. Sridham began to block these arrows by whirling his pole. And by Sridham's chivalrous activities, Krishna became satisfied. Whirling his pole means, like, how do you explain? He's blocking all those arrows by his pole. He's just repulsing them by his pole, whirling the pole. That's it.
Oh.
What is the difficulty? I mean, what is your what are you not able to understand in that exactly? I mean, if you tell me that.
How Sridham was wielding his pole.
Whirling
Again
means
to
like,
block.
yeah, it could be like this. It could be, whatever direction the arrows were coming. There are many ways of whirling a pole. No? Like this, then you can also whirl it on top of your head. All that.
Isn't this like a wrestler, one who challenges the opponent? They have some flow type of
No,
thing, right?
whirling, I don't know how to put it. Okay, let me tell you some real life thing. I've seen Guru Maharaj when I first came to Mayapur in 92. So Guru Maharaj started walking towards me by whirling his pole. And at one point, I couldn't go any further. I had to just stand because if I go any further, I'll hit the wall. And if I go any further, I was worried that if when Guru Maharaj is whirling the pole, it may hit the wall and it may hit my head or whatever. So it's possible to whirl a pole in. What do you say? I don't know if is my video, are you able to see me what I'm doing here?
Yes.
I mean, you can whirl a pole like this, then you can whirl it like this, and with both hands, it's like, you can whirl it like this, and then, whatever, whirl it like this, like this, like this, like this, and you can whirl it on top of your head, and you can whirl it in possibly, two different planes. One is the horizontal plane, you can whirl it like this. The other is the vertical plane, where you can whirl it with your right hand, you can whirl it with your left hand, in front, back, it's like all kinds of, those that are expert at whirling can do it, whirling the stick. So which means that practically your whole body can be covered, even from the top of your head till your feet can be covered with the pole. So whenever an arrow is coming, by whirling the pole, you can repulse the arrow. It'll hit the, it'll hit the pole and fall down. That's what it means, repulsing.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji.
Is it okay?
Veera, or shall we?
Okay, 1 minute.
Yes,
I think Anandita
you.
Madri had some question or some wrestlers or something, or the same thing.
No, I was just saying how Sudama could be whirling the flow.
How Sridhamma must be whirling, like a wrestler, you mean?
Could be.
I don't know what you exactly mean by wrestling. I'll try to look up a video of what a whirling a pole. What I know what it means. So if I find a video which shows that, then I'll post it so you can see what whirling a pole means.
Okay, that's fine.
Roji, I have another question. What happened after like Guru Maharaj came, and then what happened after that? You stopped and then you just stopped it in between.
I was just, every moment I was so scared because I thought any moment this pole is going to hit my head. So, but he did it for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then I couldn't move. I just stand still, just stand still. And sometimes I close my eyes also. Nothing happened. During the days before his paralysis, he knew that art of, or whatever he is, an expert in wheeling is. I'm not saying because he's my guru, and I'm talking when materially speaking. Maybe like the material art of whirling that pole. He had his sannyas danda actually. In that, his sannyas danda was not like the full long danda. He had a wooden, almost like a walking stick, but not a walking stick. It's quite a thick and thing. He used to whirl that rod, the sannyas rod. Or whatever. It used to be quite heavy also, that rod, but he would whirl it.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Prabhu. It was very nice to hear.
When that was going on, apart from being afraid, frightened, really frightened, and even now when I remember that, I'm still feeling a little nervous. How that pole was whirling all around my head. So, but I remember at that point that Lord Nityananda is explained that in Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda used to whirl his stick like that. So I just remembered Lord Nityananda a little bit at that time when Guru Maharaj was whirling his stick. Okay. Rukmini Harisenamad, you can continue.
Yes. Dan Veera, or chivalry in giving charity, may be divided into two parts: munificence and renunciation. A person who can sacrifice everything for the satisfaction of Krishna is called munificent. When a person desires to make a sacrifice because of seeing Krishna, Krishna is called the impetus of the munificent activity. When Krishna appeared as the son of Nand Maharaj, in clear consciousness, Nand Maharaj desired all auspiciousness for his son and thus began to give valuable cows in charity to all the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas were so satisfied by this charitable action that they were obliged to say that the charity of Nand Maharaj had excelled the charity of such past kings as Maharaj Prithu and Nriga. When a person knows the glories of the Lord completely and is prepared to sacrifice everything for the Lord, he is called Sampradanak, Sampradanak, or one who gives everything in charity for the sake of Krishna. When Maharaj Yudhishthir went with Krishna in the arena of Rasuya sacrifice, in his imagination, he began to anoint the body of Krishna with pulp of sandalwood. He decorated Krishna with a garland hanging down to his knees. He gave Krishna garments all embroidered with gold. He gave Krishna ornaments all bedecked with valuable jewels. And he gave Krishna many fully decorated elephants, chariots, and horses. He further wished to give Krishna in charity his kingdom, his family, and his personal self also. After so desiring, when there was nothing actually to give in charity, Maharaj Yudhishthir became very perturbed and anxious. Similarly, Maharaj Bali once told his priest Shukracharya, "My dear sage, you are fully expert in knowledge of the Vedas, and as such you worship the supreme personality of Godhead Vishnu by Vedic rituals. As far as this Brahman Dap, the incarnation of Vaman Dev, is concerned, if he is Lord Vishnu, a simple Brahman, or even my enemy, I have decided to give to him in charity all the land he has asked for." Maharaj Bali was so fortunate that the Lord extended before him his hand, which was reddish from touching the breast of the goddess of fortune, who is always smeared with red kumkum powder. In other words, although the personality of Godhead is so great that the goddess of fortune is always under his command for enjoyment, he still extended his hands to take charity from Maharaj Bali. A person who wants to give everything in charity to Krishna but does not want anything in return is considered the real renouncer. Thus, a devotee will refuse to accept any kind of liberation, even if it is offered by the Lord. The real love of Krishna becomes manifested when Krishna becomes the recipient of charity and the devotee becomes the giver. In Hari Bhakti Subodhaya, there is another example forwarded by Maharaj Dhruva. He says there, "My dear Lord, I have practiced austerities and penances because I was desiring to receive something from you. But in exchange, you have allowed me to see you, who are never visible even to the great sages and saintly persons. I had been searching out some pieces of broken glass, but instead I have found the most valuable jewel. I am therefore fully satisfied, my Lord. I do not wish to ask anything more from you, your lordship. A similar statement is to be found in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 15th chapter, verse 48. The four sages, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, address the Lord as follows: "Dear Supreme Personality of Godhead, your reputation is very attractive and free from all material contamination. Therefore, you are worthy of being glorified and are actually the reservoir of all places of pilgrimage. Auspicious persons who are fortunate enough to be engaged in glorifying your attributes and who actually know what your transcendental position is, do not even care to accept liberation offered by you, because they are so transcendentally enraged, they do not care to accept even the post of Indra, the heavenly king. They know that the post of the king of heaven is also fearful. Whereas for those who are engaged in glorifying your transcendental qualities, there is only joyful and freedom from all danger. As such, why should persons with this knowledge be attracted by the post in the heavenly kingdom? One devotee has described his feeling about the charity exhibited by King Mayurdhwaj. I am faltering even to speak about the activities of Maharaj Mayurdhwaj, to whom I offer respectfulness. Mayurdhwaj was very intelligent and he could understand why Krishna came to him once in the garb of Brahmana. Krishna demanded from him half of his body to be sawed off by his wife and son. The king Mayurdhwaj agreed to this proposal. On account of his intense feeling of devotional service, King Mayurdhwaj was always thinking of Krishna, and when he understood that Krishna had come in the garb of Brahmana, he did not hesitate to part with half of his body. This sacrifice of Maharaj Mayurdhwaj for Krishna's sake is unique in the world, and we should offer our all respectful obeisances to him. He had full knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the garb of Brahmana, and he is known as the perfect Danveer or renuncer. Any person who is always ready to satisfy Krishna and who is always dexterous in executing devotional service is called Dharamveer, or chivalrous in executing religious rituals. Only advanced devotees performing religious ritualistic performances can come to the stage of Dharamveer. Dharamviras are produced after going through the authoritative scriptures, following moral principles, being faithful and tolerant, and controlling the senses. Persons who execute religious rituals for the satisfaction of Krishna are steady in devotional service, whereas persons who execute religious rituals without intending to please Krishna are only called pagal. The best example of Dharamveera is Maharaj Yudhishthira. A devotee once told Krishna, "My dear Krishna, O killer of all demons, Maharaj Yudhishthir, the eldest son of Maharaj Pandu, has performed all kinds of sacrifices just to please you. He has always invited the heavenly king Indra to take part in the yajnas, sacrifices, because King Indra was thus absent so often from Shachi Devi. She had to pass much of her time pining over Indra's absence with her cheeks upon her hands." The performance of different yajnas for the demigods is considered to be worship of the Supreme Lord. The demigods are considered to be different parts of universal body of the Lord, and therefore the ultimate purpose in worshipping them is to please the Lord by partially worshipping his different limbs. Maharaj Yudhishthira had no such material desire. He executed all sacrifices under the direction of Krishna and not to take any personal advantage from them. He desired only to please Krishna and was therefore called the best of the devotees. He was always merged in the ocean of loving service.
Okay, a very interesting story of King Mayuradhwaja. Any thoughts, reflections, comments? So some of these names that we have in India, like Dharamveer is a name. Prabhupada gave one of his disciples the name Danaveer, Dayaveer, Dharamveer. Yuddhaveer, you don't find many names. Dayaveer, maybe, yeah. Danaveer, definitely. Dharamveer, lots. Prabhupada wants us all to be Dharmaveers because when he says the nectar of instruction we studied earlier, says everyone should become a Goswami. So, Dharamveers means those who perform devotional service in full obedience to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Who was Makardhwaja? Mayurdhwaja?
I don't know much. I don't know. From whatever, I need to find out more about King Mayuradhwaja. I mean, it's not common to come across this example, except here. It's not a commonly quoted example. But of course, this is a very special example because Rupa Goswami is quoting it here. But where to find information? I'd have more information. I'll have to look. What is the story? Also, we don't know exactly.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
When tulsi plant gets dried up, automatic actually with all endeavors, if it cannot be protected, so what to do of the dry twigs, because they are so thin, they cannot be wrapped in cotton and offered as aarti. So can we just burn along with the wick, ghee wick?
I'm not an expert on this topic at all, actually. I've not heard also what's to be done. I'll have to find out. Please post it on the group so that I remember to do it. Sometimes I forget. Not sometimes, quite often I forget. Anyone knows the answer? Or even has asked this question before and got some answer from anyone?
I asked once, and this is the only way that we offer the lamp. Just on the stick, we can bind it together, put the cotton, put the ghee, and offer to Lord. That's it.
Okay.
That is what is
Like
being.
I think in Vrindavan,
Yeah,
there
we
are
use
during
for the
Kartik month.
Yeah.
Even not only Vrindavan, in Mayapur also, I've seen they offer. I mean, I didn't realize what twig they are. Probably they're tulsi twigs. It's not necessarily only
Yes.
during Damodar month. You can offer any time.
Yeah.
Here.
Yes. Pushottam month is coming.
Yeah, Damodar month is coming up. Okay, so if there are no further questions or reflections or thoughts, then we can end today's session. Continue. Next session is compassion and anger. Today's topic was astonishment, right? So I remember the moment the class began and my speaker was on, and suddenly I heard the mixer going off in front of me in the kitchen. My wife turned on the mixer. So it started off with astonishment. And it's also ending with astonishment. I was just waiting. Suddenly she came and spoke to my son now. I don't know if you all heard it in the background. So again, I was astonished at the end of the class. This is not astonishment, it's more like shock. Okay, so thank you all very much. We'll resume next Thursday. You have something to say?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I was saying that after reading NoD, so I was a little curious to know that which book we will gonna start.
There were different suggestions. Before, I thought that we had once almost settled it that we will do Bhagavad Gita with Prabhupada's commentaries blended with whatever acharyas have said, Baladev Vidyabhushan, Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, like that. I mean, of course, it should the core would be Prabhupada with some additional information, interesting information, things like that.
Okay.
I
And
mean,
Prabhuji,
that is what once we discussed some few months ago. But if there is any other, suggestion or something, I'm open to it. We can see. I was thinking probably we could also do Brihad Bhagavatamrita. That's another option.
yes, yes. And Prabhuji, I was thinking that just for the Purushottam month, is it okay to that, just in the late evening, like 8:30 to 9 or something, just for half an hour on daily basis, whole month, Purushottam month, can we read together Krishna book? Because when, when I
I'm
read
open
this
to that
alone,
idea. I think it's a good idea of reading together. I'm open to that idea, but I'm because I take my son out on book distribution every day evening. So mornings would be better for me. Anyway, we'll have to see what timing. I mean, if it is 7:30 to before 6 o'clock would be the most ideal time for me.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an excellent suggestion that we could read the Krishna book.
So in the Purushottam months, I was just, I alone reading and reading together with all senior devotees makes a much difference.
Yeah,
So,
reading together makes a big difference. Big difference.
yeah. So if it is possible that if we
So
can.
what we can do is that Radhakishori Mataji, you can check how many of them are, how many of them want to do it. But I think we'll do it anyway, and whoever wants to or able to do it can join.
Prabhuji, what time suits you? I can catch it.
Okay, let me just give me one day. I'll just post it by tomorrow, or I'll inform you by tomorrow.
Okay, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Because
accordingly we can.
Yeah, I got sometimes I have to attend some meetings with Guru Maharaj. Sometimes Sundays I'm not. Okay, yeah. I just need to give me one day. I'll just figure it out and tell you the best time for me.
Okay.
And also,
okay.
apart from that, you all also have some fixed engagements, right? So I think better than that would be, why don't you all say what would be some window, so then I can see if I can fit myself in any of that window, because you all also having different classes, right?
Prabhuji, around this time, between 4 and 6, we have classes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the most ideal time. Would, okay. Yeah, mornings, everybody would be busy, especially ladies.
Yes. Mornings are very difficult, Prabhuji. Yeah.
Mornings are very difficult, yeah. And what time does everybody go to bed?
What about 12 to 1 or between 12 to 2 in the morning? Because in the evening, I will have Bhakti Shastri classes 3 days a week.
Hmm. 1:30 to 2, just for half an hour, 1:30 to 2 daily.
Yeah. Also one question that I have is that every day all the classes are 4 to 6, or is it? I mean, like for today is like 4 to 5, right? So
it's between. It's in between. Most of the times it's 4 to 6 or 4 to 5:30 or 4:30 to 6, like that.
Okay. See, why don't we do one thing? It looks like all the classes are 1.5 hours, right?
Yes. Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So if it is starting at 4:30, that day we can have from 4 to 4:30. If it is starting, if you put post a schedule, I think everybody will find it okay, provided we know in advance what the schedule is like. Like let's say Monday is 4 to 4:30, then some days could be 5:30 to 6, depending on your other classes. We can just squeeze in half an hour. That would work for me.
Mm.
Yes. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
Yeah, we can just prepare a schedule and post. Yeah.
Yeah, wherever, if you're starting at 5 and finishing at 5:30, then we can have from 5:30 to 6. We're starting like today is supposed to be 4 to 5 or maximum 5:30. So like that we can yeah, schedule it like that. Yes, mother. You can post a schedule accordingly, which is between 4 and 6.
Yes.
Half an hour
Yes.
somewhere between 4 and 6. Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing
Okay.
is I think we'll have to begin on time and end on time there, because it's only half an hour.
Yes. Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm excited by this idea.
Yes, Prabhuji. I'll post. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Okay. 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 So thank you very much for the suggestion, Rukmini Harisinma. So we'll go ahead and do it.
Guruji, what about Prabhupada Lilamrit after this book?
Yeah, that's one suggestion. I think we still have a few more weeks to go. Not few more weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 or 2 months, I think.
1 or 2 months? No. We're already in chapter 47.
There
We're
are
already in chapter 47.
30 pages left.
Yeah, I mean, 4 more chapters, I mean, including 47 to 51, 5 chapters actually. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, 1 month maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Closer to the thing, we'll finalize it.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, it's okay. So, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyevacha Paritanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Yes, we have some more questions.
No question. Prabhuji.
Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki